Hello, my name is Michael Gossett, and today I'm going to be going over the reliability and the historically accurateness of the New Testament. With my research that I've already been through and through schooling, I believe that I can convince you that the New Testament really is reliable and is considered historically accurate, not just because Bible scholars say so, but simply because of outside sources, things that aren't even a part of the Bible have proven the reliability of the New Testament. Today I'd like specifically to talk about how the New Testament books were decided in the canon, whether or not the books are reliable, and third, proof from outside evidence other than the Bible. The New Testament books were strategically picked. The New Testament was chosen by a council that was selected by other leaders of the church, which are well-known theologians that knew the doctrine of the Bible, of the Old Testament, really well. And what they did is placed what they considered the inspired Word of God into a canon of what now we have as the 27 books of the New Testament. The books went through various stages of criteria. There was three main criteria. It was whether or not it was an apostolic account. It had to have the consensus of all of the churches in general. And thirdly, there was a rule of faith that it had to be considered inspired by God. The second thing that I would like for us to talk about is the fact that the New Testament books are reliable. There's big debates going on today whether or not they are reliable, because it took so long for the council to decide what was part of the New Testament and what books were considered to be a part of the canon. It was a very long process. It was over 100 years or so that it took for the canon to even exist. There's a misconception of transmission about the New Testament book. There's an oral tradition, which means it was passed down orally from generation to generation, and you get this idea that, kind of like the telephone game, where you sit in a circle and you whisper in someone else's ear something, and they want to get back to you something totally different, which for the New Testament books were not the case at all. Actually, what happened is when writers themselves would have complete the book, they would actually send it to churches, and they knew what such a sacred document this was. They wrote it down word for word and then passed it to other churches, and then they would do the same thing, pass it to other churches, and that's how the books got passed down and got passed around from church to church. Scholars today, they go back to the original manuscript, and we found a lot of the original manuscripts, and I have a statistic on the board here that with the manuscripts we have, there is scholars can recover 97 to 99% of the original content of the New Testament with certainty. Now that is really important, because you cannot find any other historical document that you can have that high of a statistic with certainty. Thirdly, New Testament accounts are strengthened by outside evidence. The first secular evidence that we have would be the Antiquities by Josephus, and time again he mentions and makes reference to Jesus and his half-brother James. Josephus also wrote a lengthy section about Jesus called Testimonium, and in this document he gives great detail of Pontius Pilate, and he talks about the death and resurrection of Jesus. And this is an outside document. And another source we have that's not from the Bible would be the fact of archaeology and archaeological evidence. many things that they found in the Middle East have gone back and proven the New Testament. And with these facts I've shared with you, I encourage you to read and study these outside documents, the New Testament, so that you can share with others the importance of how reliable the New Testament is. And not only that, but there's a startling statistic. 19% of the born-again adults actually believe in the reliability of the New Testament. And I hope, after today, that with the evidence that I've given you, that you will believe that the New Testament is reliable.